All right, so welcome, Claire. Thank you so much for being here today for
Thanks
this
for having me.
workshop. Yeah, I'll give you a quick bio to anyone who doesn't know you. These usually get kind of wordy, so when Rick Emmett was on here, he kind of like laughed because like my bio just kept going and going and going for him because he had so much stuff to say.
Mhm.
So I hope this one's not too long. Claire Coupland is a powerful yet tender singer-songwriter known for blending folk-style guitar playing with lilting melodies, vulnerable lyrics, and a twist of jazz. Born on Vancouver Island, Claire has been touring relentlessly and performing at festivals across Canada and the UK, drawing audiences in with her intimate, raw, and often playful performances. Her latest album, New Light, produced by Juno Award-winning musician Sam Weber, Weber or Weber, it could be Weber, along with top LA players, including members of the band Dawes, showcases deeply personal songs exploring family, hope, self-worth, and healing. These stories unfold in warm, lush, spontaneous arrangements. Can you tell that like AI wrote this? I mean, it didn't totally write this, but it sort of sounds so ridiculously perfect. But I have heard the record actually, and it does sound very lush and warm. Actually, I love the sound of that record. Um, yeah, your arrangements have a tinge of California rock, but I also hear a bit of grunge and sort of things like that. Claire's music has charted at number 3 on the National College Community Radio charts, received steady CBC and BBC airplay, very cool, and earned glowing reviews praising her lyricism, deft guitar work, and her rare combination of grace and raw honesty in her lyrics. True that. From her early days being too shy to share her songs, she has since earned the praise of mentors like Rick Emmett from Triumph and Bob Ezrin, who was associated with Kiss and Pink Floyd, completed a contemporary music degree at Humber College, and has been invited as a songwriter in residence at the Banff Center for the Arts and Creativity, which I think sounds really cool. She has performed at major festivals including City Folk, Salmon Arms, Roots and Blues, and the Arizag Americana Festival in Scotland. I probably didn't say that right. And completed multiple cross-Canada tours as a Via Rail artist on board. If you're watching from outside of Canada, Via Rail is like the national train that goes across Canada. Is that right, Claire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And they hire artists to come on board and entertain and play for the passengers. Claire embodies the spirit of the independent artist, driven, curious, and deeply motivated. One of her most impressive qualities is her ability to make things happen for herself, particularly booking her own tours and building her audience one show at a time. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, diving into how artists can book their own tours, grow their careers in a way that feels authentic and focused. So with that, welcome, Claire, to this sort of official, unofficial Song Farm workshop.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to delve into the part of the business that I know the best. And it's putting on your own shows and planning your own tours, and yeah, I feel like it's tried and true.
Interesting that you say the side of the business, because I know you're a songwriter and a great songwriter at that, but this is a business thing that independent artists have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm curious just to know, when did you get started with booking your own tours, and where were you in your career at the time when you started?
Well, I basically started my music career in Toronto. I was doing a little bit of it in Victoria. I ended up moving to Toronto to study music. So I studied jazz and contemporary music at Humber College. So that was in between 2011 to 15. And I hadn't really written any songs. I had always wanted to. I wanted to do that. I just felt like I could. It was a need in me, a creative expression that I just was so excited about doing, but I just, I wasn't very confident. So I did the program, and I was performing and doing gigs during my degree. It was very busy. It's ironically, you don't actually have a lot of time to gig when you're in school for music. But I always wanted to tour. I had a dream of like going on tour, but in my brain, I think I had this I don't know. I suppose the business has changed a lot, and it's made it so that artists can do basically everything themselves now. But I think I had sort of the old mentality of I have to have a label, I have to have a manager, I have to be famous, I have to be at a certain level of like
Right.
knownness before I
Yeah.
tour. Turns out that's not true at all, and there's nothing stopping you. You just plan it yourself. And so I started out, I think I did my first little chunks of touring in 2018, 2019, and I was touring with my friend Oscar, who has his artist name Drifter. And that was a nice way to ease into it because I had done some Via Rail trips and some other sort of small island trips. But it was around 2018, 2019 that I started to book for myself. And yeah, you just kind of have to dive in because I didn't have a manager, didn't have a label or anything like that. I had no help or direction. I just sort of decided that that's what I wanted to try doing.
And did you figure it out organically, or how did you kind of piece that together?
Yeah, well, one of the first tours I did with my friend Oscar, he said, because I didn't drive at that time, I was still a non-driver living in Toronto. I guess I didn't need to.
Yeah.
So we struck up a deal, and I trying to remember how. Oh, I know what it was. I did my first tour. Um, my first ever tour that I did was actually with a band, and I forget about this, but I basically did like a Southern Ontario. It was a week and a half, I think, with my friends from Humber, with my band friends, and it was really fun. And it was surprising that my first tour was with a band. And I met Drifter, my friend Oscar, and so we just became friends, and we're still friends. And he struck me a deal. He said, "Look, like if you want to go out to, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, that area, I'll drive. And if you plan everything, if you book the tours, like book the gigs, and I'll take us there." So that was the deal. And he drove the whole way, and we just palled around on the road. And what happened is I had gotten one of my first festivals in uh, New Brunswick. It's called Living Roots Festival. So at that point, Oscar was like, "Well, I want to come." I'm like, "We'll try to get into that festival, and then we can plan some dates around that." So
Mm-hmm.
that was the deal. I did all of the planning, and that really sort of whipped me into shape because all of a sudden now you had to figure out how to do those things.
Yeah.
That's how it all
So
began.
yeah, so that begs the question then, how do you know where to aim your efforts? Which venues are you looking to focus on? Things like that. And
Yeah.
festivals are another thing. I guess are you keeping your eyes open for the bigger shows as well along the way?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, when you're starting out, you're not going to be playing like theaters or soft theater venues and that kind of thing. That kind of comes a little bit later on. If you're lucky, you can get into a situation where you're opening for a bigger artist. That's just sort of comes with meeting the right people, I guess, and having those connections. But how I kind of did it was I sort of cast my net with my festival applications in the area and sort of the provinces surrounding that. And that's how I plan tours. Canada is obviously a huge country, and there's different markets that you can focus on. But what I try to do is get what I call our anchor dates, or as we know it, our anchor dates, which is a festival or a conference or some sort of significant thing that
Mhm.
you've already gotten, or that you know, will be getting as sort of the first
A confirmed
part.
sort of thing.
Exactly, a
Yeah.
confirmed engagement, and then I normally just plan tours around those. So that's mostly what my summers look like. If I apply for as many festivals as I can possibly do, um, and then whichever ones I get, I can plan tours around that. I have worked with an agency. I'm with an agency right now, so they do the festival applications for me at the moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, in the time of when I was doing that, that's how I would do it. And
Yeah. Now, for someone like me who does not know the landscape for festivals at all, I imagine a lot of them are in this like summertime thing-ish, and they're probably all across Canada. So you can't try to book one. Well, maybe you can. One weekend in Victoria, the other week and in St. John's. You're not going to be flying across the country probably. So is there a bit of a strategy or a thought behind that game?
yeah, I mean, there's certain festivals that happen, within the weekend of each other. Like it'll happen one weekend, and then the next weekend you get a different festival, hopefully in the same province. I feel like there's a few in BC that allow that sort of tightness of time and proximity, so you could plan a tour around. But it all depends, right? You'd have to get both of those festivals. You never know what you're going to get, which is another thing about it. But yeah, sometimes the reality is that you do get something in Winnipeg, and then the next weekend you're on Vancouver Island. So
Mhm.
you kind of you could drive between the two if you wanted to, but if you learn about your booking, your success with those bookings with enough time to plan that big tour, then absolutely you could do a road trip. But in that circumstance, I would probably just fly and try to book my flight as
Mhm.
in advance as possible. But
Yeah.
this country's so huge; it's so hard to do that. So yes, the goal is to sort of like what I've been focusing on lately is the Alberta festival market, and then the BC festival market, because a lot of them happen in July and August, and that's
Yeah.
enough time that I could sort of plan a little
Mhm.
tour here, a little tour there, and make it all one tour.
Now, I'd like to get into the agency thing maybe a little bit later, but I
Mhm.
still want to stay on festivals and house shows because I know you play a lot of house shows. I'm curious too. It is a business. You are trying to make, I guess, festivals pay a little bit of money.
Mhm.
House shows selling tickets too. What's the reality? Like, I mean, are you able to kind of afford to tour? Is it like a positive experience, or is it kind of like you're losing money on all of these things? Like, how has that been for you, if I can ask that?
Yeah. I mean, um, there are ways to, like, if I toured almost every day of the year, then I could make a living doing that. It would be a meager living, and I would never be home. I would never be able to do anything else. So people that I know, artists that I know, and including myself, we don't tour like around the clock type thing. I mean, I know a couple people who do, and I can't believe they're on the road all year long. I just couldn't do that. But yeah, for someone like that who is committed to doing that every year, yes, they're probably able to make a living, um, but then they're never home. So yeah, there are economical ways that you can do it. Like if I do solo house concert tours, I can actually, more than break even. I can come away with some money for myself, because house concerts and those sort of types of gigs, like backyard summer concerts and that kind of thing, can be the most lucrative way of making money on the
Yeah.
road. And that's what I've found. And then festivals, depending on the festival, some have bigger budgets than others. I've
Right.
seen everything from zero to, well, not zero, but like grassroots, small budget
Mhm.
festivals to high budget festivals in Ottawa and Toronto and BC and stuff. Um, but yeah, like if it gets a little trickier to make money when you are traveling with other people, other band mates. There are ways that you can get tour funding and that kind of thing, but it really is, it's hard to make extra money doing it. It does sort of become something that you
Yeah.
can't like depend on for your sole
It's
income.
funny. I hear that from like really big artists too, like
Hmm.
guys who are, on top 10 Spotify. They lose money on their tours a lot of the time, they say.
Yeah.
Mainly because like their stage stuff is like extremely costly, whatever.
Hmm.
So question is, why do we tour then? Like, what's the, for you and maybe for these other artists, but what's in it? Is it all about growing your fan base and your engagement in it? Because that's sort of the next piece of this is like, you're probably touring for a reason, and it's not to get rich. So what is it?
Well, I mean, I just am finding more and more that the time and the moments that I have with people that I meet on the road, like the fact is that I have friends now in these small towns in Alberta and BC. I know people, I can recognize a bunch of new people at conferences or just at festivals or around town, or I've made so many friends and wonderful connections and people that I can visit. You know, if I were to do a road trip through BC, there's several people that I could like maybe camp in their backyard or like stay crash in their spare room, and we can hang out and be friends. And I'm just finding more and more that those connections with real people who attend house concerts and festivals, it's just becoming so important to me. It's so like soul affirming. Like I just love people. I love meeting new people, meeting music goers. It's very heartwarming. So I feel like it sort of fills my little cup in a way. But yeah, I think like what you were talking about with the bigger artists, of course, they're going to have much larger expenses like tour vans and
Pyro.
guitar techs and all that kind of thing. But if I do a solo tour, I bring my own PA system. I drive by myself. I like book everything, all the ferries and everything in advance. And I'm very frugal on the road. So that's how I can make it work. But of course, you know, if I'm not, yeah, I have gotten to a point where I can make a little bit and cover all my expenses. But yeah, why I do it? Well, connecting.
Well, it sounds like it's very rewarding for you on a soul level.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it with your music, that's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
you get to play your tunes for people, you get to connect with real people, and then you make these connections
Mm-hmm.
that you just never know how they're going to blossom the next
Yeah.
time you go touring or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess you would consider touring a vital part of your career. So we're going to probably get into like, how do you balance writing with touring? I assume it's more seasonal, like you use a season of writing, a season of touring, and that like that. But it sounds like
Yeah.
it's a pretty vital part of your artist development is getting out there and connecting with audiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's yeah, in terms of how I balance things, like I don't typically write on tour. It's not that I'm not thinking about it, or I'm sort of in intake mode as well. I'm in work mode, but I'm also in intake. Like you wouldn't believe some of the weird conversations you have with people that you stay with, or
Yeah.
things that happen and things that you see. And it's pretty cool because you're sort of in motion all the time. And I love traveling. I love being in motion, and I find it very inspiring. So, but yeah, for me, it is sort of a seasonal thing. But you know, I do like to write in the summertime if I'm not gigging or touring or doing something in a particular week. It's more about having that time and separation and
Yeah.
focusing.
Yeah.
They're kind of different things to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Well, it sounds like touring, like you said, it fills up your cup and it gives you all of these probably inspirations and
yeah,
ideas of future songs.
yeah.
So you've been touring, you've been on probably half a dozen different tours over the last 6, 7 years or so.
Hmm.
How has that sort of, as have you noticed that your live performance game is developing? How are you finding like your ability to play in front of people now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm just looking at my answer here because, of course, I can answer the question, but I like to look at what I wrote because there's some good points.
Yeah, I
Um,
sent the questions to you about 2 days ago, so you've had a chance to sort of sit with them a little bit and
yeah, definitely.
reflect.
Well, basically, like it really just gives you practice, and it throws you into situations that you have to deliver the show. You have to get on with it. Things are going to happen. Things do happen. You know, sometimes you're playing a show and you you're struggling with your instrument, or you're struggling to relax your voice, or that kind of thing, or you're just not playing it well, or but you have to power through, and it really gives you this resilience and practice, and you play your songs a bunch. So you get better, you get much better at delivering your songs, sort of whatever the circumstance is. Um, and what was I going to say? Yeah, you sort of you learn how to be more succinct in your presentation of your songs
Okay.
and your set as well, and you learn to like um, efficiently create a set list where one song can flow into the next. You learn what stories people find interesting, what jokes land, what
Yeah,
what kind of things work, and it basically polishes you up a lot. So that's what I love about it. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm better than I ever have been. And so
absolutely.
it's a good feeling because you're like, oh, well, I feel good about that. But it comes down to you're practicing, and you're going to play in front of a couple hundred people or 10 people, and you have to deliver the same quality, or I think you should. And yeah, it just really makes you adjustable to whatever situation's going on.
Yeah. And I guess just learning how to read a room and sort of read the vibe and
Yeah,
deliver, and like you said, succinct. Like you sort of you're
yeah,
carving your presentation so it's just really smooth and sharp and tight and
yeah.
entertaining. All those
And
things.
you
Cool.
you roll with the punches because a lot of the time you're tired, and uh it does get into the same pattern if you're especially if you're doing a long tour. I never want it to feel like that. I've done long tours, but I think the 2 week tour is sort of a sweet spot because you don't get too tired of it.
Well, that's the other sort of question. Like we could go in like a lot of different ways, but like the
Yeah.
pacing and the scheduling and the driving, because you get tired on the road, and then if you have to play a show that night,
Hmm.
and then the sleeping hours probably can be kind of,
Yeah.
out there in debate, and depending on if you're playing house shows or you're playing bar venues or
Yeah.
whatnot. The 2 weeks sounds like very doable.
Hmm.
I don't know what most artists do these days. Is it like 6 weeks or like three months, or like
uh
depends on your goals, I guess, and how big
it's
you are.
yeah, it just depends on what you're touring as well. And also sometimes people will just play a lot over the summer, over June, July, August, and then they'll just say tour dates. But it's, they're still at their home base and they're traveling each day. And I would totally
Right.
consider that tour. It doesn't have to be like you're playing somewhere new every single night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It really depends on what you're touring. I think if someone's doing an album tour, they probably would, maybe if they were releasing in the fall, they would tour it in the fall, and then early into the new year, into the spring and the summer, and then
Mhm.
possibly the next year they would tour the same album, maybe with a new single or something like that. But yeah, I noticed the longer tours happen for people in the summertime because it's the summertime
Yeah.
in the spring.
Yeah. Just walking around Victoria the last couple of weeks, live music is everywhere. If
Yeah.
it's not in a restaurant, it's a busker on
Yes.
like the other corner.
Hmm.
So it's bustling
Great.
and bristling down here.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? I guess there's no one size fits all for touring. It all depends on the artist, the location, the size, the goals, all of these things.
Hmm.
Um, for artists that maybe have never done a live show campaign, where maybe you're staying
Hmm.
in one city and you're booking several shows throughout a couple months, or artists looking to maybe do a small tour,
Yeah.
what kind of advice do you think you would sort of give them to start?
So, yeah, I think I remember this question. This is a great question because I think there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't know how to start, and starting is can be the hardest part of it.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to find my little notes here. I think you had asked, what advice would you give?
Yeah.
Um, and let me see, practical advice. A thing, now this kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is that if you're just starting out, find someone else, find another artist that you can do a double bill tour with, and that could be a little week long thing. And you have two artists ready to go, two artists that you can pitch to your venues. You can divide up the workload, which is great. I've done lots of duo touring with Drifter and with Sarah Hiltz, and man, it's a lot easier to put your head together with someone else, and they're going to have ideas or resources, and you're going to have them as well. And if you can kind of work together, it's great, especially if you have someone that's like-minded with you and they're maybe a similar genre to you, not too similar that you're kind of, I mean, no one's the same as anyone else, but it's good to get someone that's sort of similar enough to you. Or you could find someone who's totally different and make a weird, unique show out of it. That's absolutely, not out of the question. But more importantly, someone that you like to plan and potentially travel with. So I think for someone starting out, that would be a good thing to consider. And if they don't want to do that, then they can absolutely start pursuing a solo tour. Do a couple days. You could do a weekend, you could do a mini tour, you could do a week long or 2 weeks. It doesn't have to be super long. You can test the waters. And if you're starting out, I would advise as much as possible on your tour dates, find a local artist that maybe you can do a double bill with or a triple bill. And this happens all the time, is that people will, like I have this gig coming up at the Heatley in Vancouver, and that's a great venue for collaboration. You get a lot of people touring through, and they do double bills and triple bills a lot. So there's a person coming from Ontario, I think, and she had the date booked, and my friend in a band called Almaneros, they booked that in as well, and the venue suggested that we sort of talk with that person about doing a double bill, so we can bring out each respective fans from each group, and that's a really good thing to do as well, so you can sort of cross-pollinate. And so yeah, if you're starting out, I would really recommend collaborating in some sort of way, either double bill tour or solo, and then getting local friends and artists, on board.
That's such a great idea to collaborate with other artists. They're looking for the same, and when you cross-pollinate, you are like introducing your fans to theirs, and it just builds connections. So good.
Yeah.
We can.
Would say, like, also when you're just starting out, don't be afraid to ask for help. Put the word out on social media. Like, does anyone know people in Kelowna, singer-songwriters in Kelowna? Does anyone have groups or songwriting circles or local things I can tap into? I'm looking for someone to share a bill, and just asking for help. Like, it is ultimately something that you'll have to plan yourself, but there's people out there who love to join in and either help you get people out or join your bill or whatever. So
and if you announce that you're going to be coming through a certain city or whatnot, there's always a place to play. If you're looking for, you find the person who's the music guy in the town, and you can figure it out.
And house concerts too. You can say, hey, I'm planning my first tour, and like, have you ever thought about putting on a house concert? Like, it could be nice for the summer if you've got a nice big backyard and you've been curious about hosting it. If you'd like to chat about putting on a house concert, you can get people engaged in that way too.
Yeah, that sort of sparks an interesting kind of question. So how would that probably would just be non-musician, but music lovers. How do you spark that conversation with those types of people? Where do you find those people?
Yeah, that is the question, is like, you find these people that, I can't remember who quoted it or what the exact quote was, but they were talking about this experience they had with this person named Tom or Dave or whatever, this person that became like an absolute diehard fan in this one little town, and they helped them promote the show. They bought the artist merch. They brought their friends out to the show. They're like, oh my God, I love Claire Coupland's music. But if you can find one person like that in every town or every city, that's great, because you have someone who's very charismatic and they're very passionate. And so that's kind of the goal, is like to find diehards. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to find those people sort of out of nowhere. And that does come with experience when you're playing a show and someone in the audience sees you and they're like, oh my God, you have to, next summer, will you please play my backyard? We're going to put on a show and you should come. And so that typically can come with experience already being on the road. But
yeah, I imagine that's not something the first time around you'd be looking to hit the house
I mean,
part. So you could say, hey, I'm
good.
open to do these things, but you don't know anybody in Kelowna, for example.
Yeah.
But there's a bar that's like, hey, we do live music and here's the place in town.
Yeah. But what you can do is you can just, like, Kelowna is a good example of that. They have a folk club there. So folk clubs are a great resource because they have they have a group of people that either are subscribers to their club and they come to most concerts. So if you can find a way to tap into either the presenter at the folk club and say, hey, like, I would love to play a show with your series, first of all, even if you've never done a tour before, they may love your music and they may say yes. Like, it doesn't mean, if you haven't done a tour before, it doesn't mean you're not good enough, like you're not experienced enough, but you could totally rock the house. And or you can offer to open for someone that's coming in on their bill, and say, hey, like, I'm doing a tour from Victoria, I would love to do like a 20-minute 30-minute set to open for Will and Co, or someone.
Yeah.
Would you be open to that? I'd love to do it. And if not, if they say, okay, we can't make it work this time around, you can just send a little follow up and say, well, thank you. And do you have, is there anyone in your community that puts on house concerts? And don't get too intense with them about it, but you can open that discussion and people will actually be really helpful and point you in the direction. Okay, well, actually, so and so said that they knew someone that hosted house, and this happens to me all the time. It's like I'll put something out on social media, or I'll email someone that I've already sort of worked with someone they know, and then they'll say, oh yeah, and they're people want to help you, they want to help you connect. So
yeah, especially if
happens a
you're
lot.
earnestly looking to just get out there, you're being just collaborative, resourceful, you're being
Resourceful.
resourceful and a little bit creative, figuring out, okay, like this place looks cool, let me reach out to the owners here. Okay, they said no, well, let me ask them about this. And you're kind of just forging a solution out of it, because you kind of know where you want to be going. Going to Kelowna, to Alberta, whatever.
Exactly.
I love that.
And just asking questions.
Yeah, because you're right, people want to help you. So yeah, that's great.
It's a lot.
I mean, I have a few notes.
Yeah.
One of the questions I have for you, maybe it's a little bit too in the weeds, but like the specifics of making a deal at a venue or a house concert, like maybe we'll get into that later if you want. Another question that I wrote down was the word mailing list.
Yes.
How are you sort of cultivating your audience while you're touring? What have you learned as a way to connect with them and keep those connections?
Well, a mailing list is something that I absolutely have all the time. Like I write everything down. I've got an email list. It's got QR codes on it. So, there's cash in there. There's a float in my email list.
Nice.
That's another thing too. It's like
cash.
Keep a cash float. I have an email list and it says name, email, please print clearly, and city. And I will mention that during every set. So if I do a 2-set house concert or 1 set, I'll make sure to mention it a couple times and just point to it and have it somewhere out sort of near the audience. So they're not feeling awkward. They don't want to come up to me, or they want to just come up, and people are shy little creatures. But having an email list has been probably my most tried and true effective way of seeing people again, and like seeing concert goers again and fans, and just, like, everyone's busy, everyone's got a billion people in their atmosphere and their lives and their things going on, but if you can get their their email address and their contact, then you've always got a way of reaching out to them unless they unsubscribe. But you know, you can every once in a while, every tour that you put on or a couple times a year, just let people know and send personal emails out to your contacts and encourage them to follow your social media as well. But that's what I do. It works.
I'm such a believer in you sort of you have to be direct to your
Yeah.
fans or your listeners or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call them, because you don't want to
Mhm.
be going through like a Facebook or
Mhm.
some
Mhm.
other medium where they might go down and crash and or they hold back
Yeah.
your subscriber list. Like you want to own that.
Yeah.
That's cool you do that. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure most artists do that, but it
Yeah.
sounds so vital just to be able to stay.
It's so vital. I mean, some people use there's apps that you can collect. I mean, a neat thing to do, there's this app called Set Live, and I haven't used it yet because I still haven't got around to it. But it's an app. I'm not sure how it works exactly, but you can basically do a contest and say like the first 10 people to sign up and submit their name and their email to the app will like get a free sticker or something like that. And but also, you know, people will say, "Oh, like I'll take your business card and I'll reach out." And I always say, "Sign my email list. I want your email to make sure that I can have that control, I guess."
Uh,
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's the email, like I've had my Gmail account for so long and it's tried and true, and it's
yeah.
yeah, I think it's the best way.
I was thinking about it the other day. If I was playing out live more, I'd have a little QR code like
Yeah.
somewhere they can just scan it, and it's like just like a
Yes.
sign up form, like really easy, like name and email, boom. Like, hey, you
Totally.
want to stay in touch? Just
Yeah.
scan this code.
Yeah.
Because yeah, people writing on the thing, like you can hardly read the stuff sometimes. Say the
Oh,
hand.
I know. I was just thinking that actually as I pulled up my list.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great idea too. And having a QR code. I have QR codes that I sort of put on my merch table as well.
yeah,
And I think at least one of them, or I hope it's all the same, it's all going to the same thing, but it can lead to a tip jar, like a virtual tip jar too. But
yeah.
leading to a sign up list is so smart as well.
What advice would you give when I don't know how much negotiating you're doing with festivals and venues, or when you're booking a house show, how are you sort of managing or setting expectations in terms of, I guess, the financial, but maybe whatever other expectations that you have considered and
Hmm.
when you
Well, the financial, I mean, that's pretty, like when I send out initial emails booking the date or giving them a range of dates and maybe asking for a specific with a couple backup dates.
okay.
You don't typically talk about all the ticketing and that kind of thing in that email, but yes, later on, it's absolutely crucial to have the conversation about the payment and how the money is made, how it's coming in, how they're collecting. Most of the time, people are so great. Like the house concert hosts will often they'll sell tickets for you. They'll sell them at the door. Some do it their own way. They only collect e-transfer from their mailing list. They have a group of people that they work with, and they only do it that way, or they set up a ticket link, and then they give you all the earnings, or they give you most of the earnings. Some take a teeny percent to cover their you know, they provide beer or pop and that kind of thing. Most of the time, yeah, house concerts are very, like, they're just so grateful to host you, which is so nice. But negotiating that and finding out how that works ahead of time and writing it down and making sure that you're both in agreement about it is super important. Um, Other house concerts give a guarantee, which is less common because, you know, you can sell 20 tickets or 50 tickets. So obviously the gap would be more. So um, but yeah, just as long as you're kind of talking about that up front and you know what's going to be happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the house concerts, is it
Mhm.
the owners who are like booking you, or are you promoting this as like a ticketed event and you're selling tickets to their house concert?
Yeah, it's mostly the owners and they are hosting, and they do a one-off show at their house,
Mhm.
or they have a series that they've been doing for a long time, and they do all the promotion. They have an
Okay.
email list, or yeah, it's not like you're selling tickets to a show and then it just is at a venue, which is someone's house. It's mostly like if it's a house concert, they sort of run like that is the venue that they're sort of running it for. I've been in circumstances where I set up a ticket link for the house concert and they allow me to just collect it myself.
Okay. Because I would imagine that they're like, hey, Claire, we'd love you to play at our house, our backyard party. We'll pay you $300 or $500 for the night or whatever, maybe.
Mhm.
Then people just show up and hang out, and you're getting paid, and you're just playing music, and that's it. Is
Mhm.
it not always the case?
Yeah, like if it's a ticketed event, either they set up a link themselves or I set up the link, and then the presenter and myself will work together to promote it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's oftentimes the case is that it's ticket sales. Um,
Because it sounds like some of these are recurring. They have recurring
yes,
backyard. That's interesting. I
yes,
didn't realize people do this.
yeah, yeah. And there's some series that they have this really like they've been doing it a long time, way before the pandemic or anything, and they
Wow,
have a devoted following and people that will come to all or most of their shows. And
interesting.
so yeah, and like some of the venues are like, yep, we're going to promote it, just send us your promo materials, a poster, or they will often make a poster because they know exactly how to word it to their audience. There's certain
Mhm.
things that you have to like let go. Like if it were up to me, I'd make the posters for all my shows, but at the same time, I'm not going to argue if this house concert host they sell out their house concerts. I'm going to let them promote it and feed it to their ticket buyers however they want to do it, because clearly it's working and they know their audience, like I said. um but yeah, most of the time it's like a ticketed
Okay.
event. It's rare that it's a guarantee, like a set price, if it's a house concert
Okay.
or it's a
Gotcha.
donation jar.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And
Yeah, a little counterintuitive for me, but what do I know? I've never done a house concert like that.
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean
think
it
so.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you just yeah, it's a concert that they put on. So you kind of most of the time it's you're selling tickets to a concert, and they will either have a really good handle on selling the
Mhm.
tickets, or they'll need your help promoting. And because some people are less experienced than others in terms of putting on house concerts, and they're like, what do I do? And I say, okay, well, I'll try my best to reach out to local radio or CBC or whatever, and you invite all your neighbors. If you can like go around your neighborhood, invite your friends and people that you want to see in your house. If you
Hmm.
can do that and you think you can bring like 15, 20 people out, and they're like, yeah, it's more just it's like really a neighborhood affair with some of them. Like it's people that they know as their friends and family. But other times, like I'll be playing a house concert, and after the show, I'll talk to the guests, and I'll be like, "So, how did you hear about the show?" I'm always curious. How did you hear about it? Are you on their email list, or do they have an email list? Um, and they're like, "Oh no, I heard about it through this or that, or a local listing or something." So, sometimes
Really?
the host will advertise it and open it up to the public. So
I clearly need to learn more about how house shows work.
they don't
I,
always work the same though. They're always like it's
uh,
just yeah. So some people are really like yeah, they want to keep it sort of to the folks that they know or they know of. But
yeah,
other folks are like, yes, and just put the word out, and hopefully they're nice people and they'll like
but there's a subset of people who do house shows on the regular just because they like to put them on and they like
exactly.
to promote them to the radio stations or let the community know. That's really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's great.
And you do you have a preference of type of shows? Like if you had to pick one type of festival, bar, venue,
Oh,
or house show, is there one that stands out?
well, I love festivals. I mean, who doesn't love putting on
Mhm.
your flowery dress and prancing around at a festival? That's like the most, that's the best. I love it. Um, because you get to stay and like check out the other artists and camp or not camp or whatever. But
Yeah.
festivals are like the most fun thing for me because you get to really experience a few days of it and do workshops. Workshops are great. House concerts are really a close second because they're so quiet. People are really quiet during concerts. They're there to listen. It sort of weeds out all the bar noise. The whole point of it is that people are like sort of, well, venues are less common now. Sadly, a lot of venues are shutting down for sort of middle to smaller venues. Breweries can be very loud. Like often breweries are concrete, like built in concrete. Some of the best gigs I've ever had are in breweries, but they can be kind of more on the lively side, so it's not the same. And folk rooms are really fun. Like folk clubs are great too because it's sort of a bigger version of a house concert. It's like a club where people go and they catch the latest folk music coming in and they're quiet and appreciative. So festivals are first, and then folk clubs and house concerts would be second because they're nice.
Cool. And I appreciate the breakdown. That's helpful actually.
Good question.
Yeah. Okay. Referring back to my list here, we're on to the let's talk about mistakes.
Okay.
And some of the mistakes, the things you've ran into, you're like, oh shoot, I'm not gonna do that again. Like, what would you say to?
Yeah, I'm just looking at my list here. Nothing like really. Like I need more time to think about that question. I will give you some answers. But I feel like, when you get a question like that and you're like, oh, there's something that happened and I just can't think about it right now, but it was so embarrassing or so like those things have happened.
Like you stop at Wendy's on the highway like 2 a.m. and like maybe someone breaks into your trunk or something, like something.
Yeah, right. God.
Down.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a really good one. I missed my ferry connection. This happened recently. Missed my ferry booking with my car. I was going to play a house show in Vancouver, and I had my car and my PA, my guitars, everything. After that gig, I was going to go to Seattle and open for the Paperboys for 2 nights in Seattle. I was like, great, going to drive the whole way through. I missed my reservation. Something dumb made it so that they just wouldn't. I was late. I was like 5 minutes past my allotted time. They were jerks. So I walked on the ferry with my guitar. I changed into my gig outfit. So I had like my heels on and my nice pants, and I carried my PA system and my mic and some CDs. It was a sweaty good time. It was awful. I was so sore. I walked on the ferry. I had to leave my car in long-term parking. I muscle everything onto the ferry. It was awful. No one helped me. I was like, oh, come on. There was nothing to. Yeah, I was a little surprised that someone helped me on the way back, which was nice. Yeah. So, and then I get to Swanson and I jump in a cab. I'm like, I have to get here now. So he drives me there. 45 minutes later, I show up at the house concert gig. I was supposed to play at 8:00. I showed up at 8:05 and I was set up and playing by 8:19.
Wow. Oh God, though. You're all stressed and
oh my God. I just had to, because everyone had their drinks. I walked in, they're like, hi. And they just didn't realize. They're like, it's fine. It's just running a couple minutes late. And I just was like, hi. Put my head down. I'm like, okay, cables. This goes here. Oh my God. Tower.
Yeah.
Talk to Cliff. Like, say hi to, oh my God, there's my high school friend that I haven't seen in 20 years. Shit. Like, just doing everything. And I was playing. And then I stayed with some friends in Vancouver, and I texted my agent, my person who is the head of the Paperboys. I was like, Tom, my car is in Schwartz Bay. I just played this house gig. It was fine. I was late, but it was fine. I don't have a car. Are they weird about rental cars across the border? And he's like, you can borrow my truck. So I Ubered from my friend's place the next day to Tom's house, climbed in this massive pickup truck. It was like this old work truck. And he's like, Claire, you can borrow my truck. Warning, it's sort of run down. It's maybe a little stinky and dirty. I'm like, it's fine. And so I get into this big truck and I drove it to Seattle. And it was great
Nice. Oh,
because, yeah,
true
I had
pleasure.
never
Yeah.
driven a truck before. Crisis
Beautiful.
averted. Yeah. And I've learned that if you're driving a big vehicle, you don't have to worry because people don't get close to you. They're not going to mess with you. You can just take that whole lane and you'll be fine. Um, but I'm going to tell you about some other things that I think are worth mentioning. Specific mistakes and stories, I can't think of them right now, but leave tons of extra time for everything, like for your commute. If you're like, great, Red Deer to Edmonton is a 2-hour drive, leave 3 hours, leave 3.5, because you might get lost. You might have to pick something up, go to the washroom, like leave
Yeah.
tons of extra time. You're going to get lost in Seattle, wherever you are. You might have to find parking. You don't want to be late. So you don't, like, for any sort of gig, cafe, house concert, theater, you can't be late. Another thing I've learned to do is just to be economical where possible if I'm driving with tour cities. So to leave, no more than a 4-hour drive in between cities. Because if driving for 4 or 5 hours, it's really tiring. So the sweet
Mhm.
spot is like a 2-hour drive between cities, if possible, 2 to 3 hours. So just be economical with your time so you can, like, normally if I'm playing a house concert thing, I'll leave whatever town I'm in at like 10 or 11 a.m. and then get to my next place by between 2 and 4, set up, say hi to the host, and then just go into my room or wherever they have me stay and just chill
Mhm.
and then come back for the doors. But I've learned to leave myself time because I just need my alone time. I need to, like, get in the zone, maybe have a nap, freshen up, brush my teeth, and
Yeah.
just rest and just sort of get into it. It's more just resting because you're like on the go. Um, have your fee and your ticket and money details confirmed with whoever whoever the presenter is. It's just good to be transparent about that right off the bat or like soon after, but have it in writing in some way. Bring extra batteries and extra cables and those kind of things that you might need. Another one is be really clear with the venue or the festival what backline or equipment they will have for you. Um,
Mhm.
you don't want to show up to a gig or an outdoor series and they said they had a PA system, but it was one little speaker. And I don't know, like, you just make sure you know exactly what they have and that you know what it is and that you can work with it. Um, yeah, having your cash float, QR code, those are more just sort of practical tools and stuff, but just leave yourself lots of time is my one takeaway.
It's like as artists, so much of it is like how I don't know how the right way of saying it is, the
Hmm.
inner composure. If we're going to
Hmm.
perform, you have to be sort of composed and prepared, and you can't be rushed and sweaty. I mean, you can be sweaty, but you can't be rushed
Yeah,
and frazzled because that's just not the mindset you want to be in. So
absolutely. Just gonna open my
those are
door. Speaking of
sure.
which, sorry, Dave, go ahead. It's
No,
like
those are
quite
just
warm
one.
in here.
Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. Like leave lots of time. I've heard that before. Being
Hmm.
transparent. I am trying to book a show at the Coda. I'm looking into the Coda in Victoria,
Hmm.
and I was just doing exactly what you're saying, like getting specific. Like, okay, what's the microphones? Are they included in the house PA? Oh no, they're not. Okay, you have to hire a sound guy for that. Okay, good to know. Like
Good to know.
understanding everything pretty
Yeah,
clearly makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I think we're at, that's pretty much all my questions. I mean, we
yeah,
got to the end of our list here for the
yeah.
most part.
I mean, there is it's one of the first questions I didn't really answer, but what I could do is just send you the notes to it because it was the step by step, like from the first email to hitting the road. And I have like a lot
Oh,
of stuff and some hot tips in there too.
that would
So
be. actually. Maybe you could send
Yeah.
me that later. We'll put that in the for the members side of things.
Yes.
But you did mention one other thing I actually wrote down here. Agents. You said you work with an agent.
Yes.
Tell us how, why did you find an agent? What's the benefit of having one versus the cons of that? Just maybe tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, a booking agent will basically take a commission of the gigs that they successfully book for you. So it's a person, it's a resource, it's a group of people or a couple people that have a web of contacts and experiences that you don't have. They're just different people. They have different experiences. They've, Tom, my agent at Cubbyhole, he's with this band called the Paper Boys. They've been around almost 30 years. And so having an agency can be beneficial to artists if they're wanting to expand their network and get help sort of plotting out tours, because basically you're pooling resources and you have that support. Yeah, so that's.
And did you feel like you were kind of at the point where you wanted to sort of level that up a bit and find those extra resources?
Yeah, yeah, it's been really beneficial to have their insight and their help, and they've given me a lot of amazing performance opportunities as well. So yeah, it's been really nice working with them.
Did you have to go out and find them, or did you connect organically? How did you guys meet?
I was working with this person who, this is just funny because it's all just how things connect. And I gotta say, social media, blah, like we spend so much time on it. There's so much, it's so like icky, I think, for a lot of us, but it is also such an incredible tool because you can connect and keep in touch with people that I just think about it now. I'm like, what was it like for artists touring in the 70s? Like they would meet people. They wouldn't have an email list. Would they get like a telephone? How they wouldn't be able to keep in touch?
A mailing address. You'd send a letter.
Yeah. Yes. Like it's crazy, but social media is like, so my convoluted way of saying, I played this festival in Fort St. John in 2022, Peace Valley Folk Festival. This is a good story. They had a main stage and then a solo acoustic stage. So I was playing on the solo acoustic stage. While I was playing the main stage with this curtain that was drawn across neatly, they were sound checking this full band, while I was playing. So I was looking over, being like,
Gosh.
and there was this quartet, this band called the Crescent Sky, and the keyboard player was like, because he was sound checking, everyone was sound checking while I was playing. And it was just a very funny, in retrospect, moment. And it was just really funny. Like I became friends with this band afterward because I talked to them and they were like, "We're so sorry. We were sound checking." I'm like, "Oh my God, don't worry. It's all right." So one of the members of that band, we remained friends, and I'm friends with him and his wife. And they're in this group called Almaneros. And so I worked with Regan, and he was doing booking for himself and then maybe another artist or two, and he helped me book some tours. And then he joined my agency as a booking agent, and then suggested that I come into the agency as an artist. So that's how it all happened. Met them at a
Okay.
festival, stayed friends, and
Yeah.
social media allowed me to do that. Yeah, so it was through the suggestion. Regan really believed in what I was doing, and he thought I would be a great addition to the agency. So it did happen, sort of a word of mouth thing. I've never pursued an agency.
Yeah, but just another sort of example of just you getting out there, creating your own success just
Mm-hmm.
through being resourceful, being creative, collaborating with other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, I mean, that's a great place maybe to end it here. But
Sure.
if you have anything else you wanted to share before we go, any tips or advice or anything like that? We've said a
Gosh,
lot today.
yeah, it is. Yeah, just be aware of the dates that you're booking and don't book on Easter weekend is another tip.
Yeah, holidays.
Oh my God. But I can send you sort of this the
Yeah, that'd
general
be
step
great.
by step, you know, because
A little
it's
how-to granular.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like it can be overwhelming, but I'm, you know, lucky enough to it's sort of like a working holiday. You're kind of when people are like, "You go on tour." What do you mean you go on tour? Well, it means that you're like you're booking shows, you're working, you're doing your work engagements, but you're planning it like a holiday. You're like, "Okay, I have to be at this place at this time, got to pack these things," and that's sort of how it feels. So you're planning every single step of the way, and it's a lot of like logistics and that kind of thing. But it starts with an anchor date, starts with emails and follow up emails, and sort of planning a rough route out. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a really cool way of looking at it, like a working vacation.
sort of, yeah, in a
And
way
how
that
much,
you have to plan it.
yeah, you got to plan it all,
Hmm.
but you're going to be working while you're getting to see new places, which I think sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
How much time do you typically, in advance of the tour, how much time do you give yourself to plan it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, uh, you know, you in the wintertime, the fall wintertime, that's when summer festival applications typically open. Typically, some don't start till the new year. So, but if I got a festival offer, let's say in November of this year, then I would have the whole rest of the season to plan for the summer. So December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That would leave me like 7 to 8 months to plan, which is such a sweet spot for me in terms of because that just is enough time to get other opportunities around the same time in the same areas. Um, I've noticed in Canada, tours are booked between 5 and 9 months in advance, but that's kind of give and take. Some book like a year to 2 years in advance. It really depends on who you're, like what level you're at or what that kind of
Yeah.
thing. If you're doing it yourself, yeah, if it gets to be like 3 to 4 months from the gig, that is considered to be sort of a tight time frame, like it's kind of coming into the mark. So yeah,
Say
you
4 to 6 weeks?
pardon me.
4 to 6 weeks, did you say?
Like 4 to 6 months is
That's
typically,
tight.
well, like 3 to 4 months before, if you're like asking for a gig that's 3 or 4 months away. Like you're never going to get into like a folk
Uh,
club with 3 to 4 months notice. They won't even like answer your email. They're
okay.
looking at a year in advance. Like it depends on the type of venue too. Like if you're certain house concerts are more popular than others, so they book like a year to a year and a half in advance. And
Wow.
then certain breweries are like, yeah, we've got an opening on Thursday of that month, which is 2 months from when you're talking to them. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's like a good thing to keep in mind for anchor dates. Yeah, just you got to be kind of planning a tour, I think, about a year in advance.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
It's long, but it's a good place to start, and then you've got time to.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. Well, I think
Yeah.
this has probably been super informative for a lot of people in a lot of
I hope
ways.
so.
What do you have planned? Do you have anything coming up in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I do. I'm pulling up my big old tour sheet here. I've got this month is fairly quiet, but August is very busy. I'm doing a folk series in Victoria on August 5th at the Bandshell. Doing 31 Days of July in August 1st. I'm playing bass with Almaneros in Vancouver and Mission. Um, and then a big tour to Alberta to play Waynestock the last 2 weeks of August. I'll be playing at Dinosaur Provincial Park, couple music in the park venues, and Waynestock. Yeah, so next month is a busy one. Couple tours.
That sounds like a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna
Great.
be very hot there. Like, oh
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
die.
But the 2 weeks of festivals, that sounds
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
it'll be fun.
And I wish you the best of luck on your tour. And
Dave.
we'll have to have you out to one of our song circles sometime. We've got to have you in there to share some
Yeah.
music with us. So that'd
Yeah.
be great. So
I would love
keep that in mind. And thanks so much again for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Claire.